All right, guys. I can't remember if I did a field trip up to Wyoming Peak or not a couple years ago, but you'll get another one. I think I'm going to make this the start of the school year. So, welcome to a new school year at WYVA. I try and send out these virtual field trips. I used to do them every week, but it gets really hard to do. I think I've done over 100 or 150 of them or something like that. So maybe every couple weeks you'll get a message, but welcome to WYVA. I hope you have a great school year. We have awesome teachers here. I'll try and take you on these field trips, different parts of the state or different cool places. But today I'm up in the Salt River Range, which sits on the western edge of the state. And I'm gonna go up to Wyoming Peak. And then I'm also standing at the Tri-Basin Divide. So, and I'm getting eaten by mosquitoes, so. I didn't even think about bringing mosquito spray. But here, one watershed goes to the Columbia River into the Pacific, and the other goes to the Colorado River and the Gulf of California, down there by Mexico. So it's kind of cool. And then the other goes into the Great Basin. So I'm getting eaten by mosquitoes, so I'm gonna shut this down until I get to the trailhead for Wyoming Peak. It's a beautiful day. The wildflowers are out and going crazy. But it's beautiful back in here. On the other side here is LaBarge, and then out to Big Piney or Kemmerer and so forth. All right, so that's the Salt River Range. We are kind of standing at the divide of the Salt River Range and then the Wyoming Range. And again, on the other side of this, you get over towards Pinedale and Big Piney and Kemmerer down south. But it's beautiful country back in here on the western side of Wyoming, and we're gonna go up this trail here and climb all the way up to Wyoming Peak. It's only about 4 miles, so it's not a very long hike or climb, but it takes 2 hours of driving on the road out of Star Valley to get here. Rough road during the last 10 miles or so. Pretty wildflowers everywhere. It's beautiful country. Lots of deer and elk and bear. Mountain lion back in here. Some moose. Working our way up this narrow trail. And you see the Salt River Range over there. Star Valley's on the other side of that. But this trail's pretty nice. It's very gradual. Over 4 miles, long switchbacks, because it was made by the Forest Service. There's an old collapsed fire lookout cabin up on top that we'll show you. So they used to come up here in the summer and have people stationed up there to look out for fires. So a variety of these peaks through here have these old lookout stations. In fact, all over the western United States, these old fire lookout stations or cabins are on top of peaks. Some are still standing, some are collapsed. But I've read a couple books about guys and gals that spent summers or multiple seasons in those cabins and in those lookout towers. Kind of a cool occupation back in the day. Lots of beautiful wildflowers out. I think these are lupine, I believe. And this trail just cuts through the openings of the forest in and out. And where it goes through the forest, it's really pretty. We're gonna wrap around there. And eventually it pops out above tree line on top of, and you climb up to Wyoming Peak up there in that shale. One of the things that I love going hiking and backpacking and hunting. When I'm hunting, often I'm pushing through all this thick, nasty stuff, and it takes hours to get through just a couple miles. But when you're hiking, you're usually on these trails. Here's a down tree. And you can just zoom along through this thick forest, and how much easier it is. And I was just thinking, for you students, the metaphor is your teachers and everybody's showing you this path through the semester or through the school year. And if you'll check your emails and stay on top of your assignments, and go to your classes, that path you can just kind of cruise through. There's some tough sections. It's steep sometimes, but otherwise you get off into the weeds, so to speak, and you got to fight your way through, and it starts to feel a little bit tedious. So anyway, that's my metaphor for today, your lesson for today. There's my truck down below there. So we've already climbed up in 1.3 miles. We've already climbed probably at least 1,000 feet, maybe a couple thousand feet. These wildflowers are really pretty. And the lichens, little stubby pines as we get above tree line. All these white flowers. Little, almost fern-like plants. All right, you come into the saddle here, and there's 3 peaks in a row. Can't remember what that one's called. I think it's unnamed. And then this is Wyoming Peak. So, and there's that collapsed lookout cabin on the top. Well, we came up out of the saddle there. It's a bit of a steep climb to go another, feels like 1,000 feet. Is probably just 500 or 600. It feels like you climb quite a bit. And over there's the big inner basin around Big Piney and Pinedale. There's the summit. There's that cabin on top of the summit. The old fire lookout cabin. It's all broken down. But you have a 360 view of the Salt River Range, and then the range on the other side is the Caribou-Targhee Forest in Idaho. And you can see the Tetons today. There's been some forest fire smoke coming into these valleys. I don't know if you can see them, but they're right there. There's a white capped Teton out in the distance. It's hazy out there from that smoke moving in, but you can still see it just hovering there. I don't know if you can see it on my camera. And then these beautiful high alpine meadows. It's middle of July and the snow's just melting out up here, and in a couple months, a few months, there'll be snow back in here, burying it. But there's huge mule deer up here, and elk, and all kinds of wildlife. Past bear scat on the way up the trail. And wildflowers everywhere, even on the summit. I think this is 10,000 feet I'm not sure. It might be just under 10, like 9 something. But I think it's 10,000 feet. There's a little logbook over here people can sign into that someone has had up here for many years. And so anyway, that's the summit, Wyoming Peak. It's a pretty country up here. Thanks for coming on the field trip. Have a good school year. So I lied to you, a quick bonus. It's 11,383 feet. Here's the logbook stuffed in this PVC pipe underneath the cabin here. So 11,383 feet. You're pretty much up here. You start feeling it the last climb up. Feel a little bit nauseous, your head starts pounding. Well, some people do. I didn't today. I've been up in the mountains too much this summer. Anyway, thanks for coming.